All right, what is up, everybody? We are back with another edition of Everyday Hoops. Hope you guys are having a good one. Today, we're here to talk about some players I feel like are having really good seasons that haven't really been talked about as much as I feel like they should have. We have some guys playing like all-stars, some mid-tier guys, some even lower-tier name guys I feel like are having really good seasons that I feel like are playing very, very well and just not being talked about as much as they should be. So that's what we're talking about here in today's video. Thank you guys for the views on the videos and the shorts recently. I really appreciate it. If you do like the content around here, consider subscribing, liking, turn notifications, doing all stuff like that. I'd really appreciate it. It really helps out a lot. Link to my Twitter and all that stuff down in the description below. And yeah, I don't want to waste any more of your time. Let's get right into it. So we have 10 players that I have here, 5 from the East, 5 from the West. We're going to go down in certain order, I guess, and talk about them. The first person we're going to talk about is Jaren Jackson Jr. from the Grizzlies. Jaren Jackson, I feel like, is having an incredible season. Every year he's gotten better from the last couple years. Last year was a really great year for him, even though the Grizzlies obviously really struggled with a lot of injury problems. This year he's come back, and it was really interesting to see how his numbers going to fluctuate, how he's going to play, and he's gotten better, surprisingly, even though he's not taking as many shots as he did last year. Averaging almost 23 points per game with 6 rebounds, 2 assists, 1.5 steals, and over 1.5 blocks, while shooting 50% from the field, 34% from three, 77% from the free throw line. Career highs in points per game, steals per game, while his shot attempts have actually gone down in every category. So very surprising stuff from him. And I feel like with the Grizzlies, they've been so good this year. They're number 3 in the Western Conference right now. The Grizzlies, their all-star should be Jaren Jackson. I feel like he deserves the all-star nod for them because he has been very good. He's been the most consistent player on this team. You know, Ja and Desmond Bane have been dealing with their injury problems, but Jaren has been there for pretty much all the year. He's played in 38 of the 40 games for them this season, and he has just been very good. He's leading the team in scoring this year. You already know what he does on the defensive end. It feels like his offensive game has just really grown, where he's a good 3-point shooter. He's been very good at putting the ball on the floor as well. Putting the ball on the floor, be able to go create his own, has been such a great improvement in the last 2 years. But before, he was more of just a guy that really had to rely on kind of Ja and Desmond Bane, and the guys kind of just finding him for shots. But now he can kind of go get his own. And last year, he really showed that and really got to be able to create that skill when he was kind of the only guy out there for the Grizzlies. And now he's using it in a way where now he can coincide with Ja, with Bane, with the rest of this team playing so well. And I just feel like he's been an all-star this year. He's been a star for them, doing so many great things. As of recently, he's had some really big games. Looking at his game log, he's had some 30 pieces recently. He had 33 against the Timberwolves the other day, 33 and 8. Had a 35, 13 and 5 game with 3 steals against the Mavericks. In his last 6 games, right, or 7 games, I'm sorry, he scored at least 20 plus in 5 of them. The only one he didn't was the last game against Houston. He only had 17 because he had 5 fouls. But yeah, in his last 7 games, he's averaging 28, 8 and 3 with 2 steals and 1.5 blocks on 52% shooting. Like, he is just he's playing very good. He's playing the best basketball of his career right now. And I feel like if the Grizzlies deserve an All Star, which they definitely do, it should be Jaren Jackson. He should be in the All Star game this season. Next guy we're going to talk about is Zach LaVine of the Chicago Bulls. Zach LaVine has been playing some great basketball so far this year, give you 24 points per game, almost 5 rebounds and 4 assists, while shooting 51% from the field, 45% from 3, 80% from the free throw line. Career high shooting from the field and shooting from 3. He's been super efficient. And after this entire offseason, where he was in trade discussions, people kind of throwing dirt a little bit on his name just because, the value of his contract compared and his injury history compared to, what he actually produces on the court and all this stuff and when's he going to get traded for the Bulls. But he's come out this year with the right attitude, the right mindset, and he has been very good, especially recently. Um, in the year of 2025, he has been on it. In the year 2025, last night was his first game in 2025 where he didn't have 30 or more. Um, he started off 2025 really hot. Even still, he had 25, 7 and 5 last night in a loss to the Pelicans. In 2025, so far in 7 games, he's given you 32 points per game, 6 rebounds, 5 assists, and a steal, while shooting 56% from the field, 49% from 3, 79% from the free throw line. Ridiculous stuff. He's shooting the ball as efficient as ever for his career. And he just has a different kind of He's playing really well. He's playing like the Zach LaVine that was an all-star a few years ago. That's what he's playing like. And he's building that trade value up. Will he actually get traded? I'm not very sure, even though his trade value is probably at the highest it's been in a very long time. I don't think a trade will happen, but it's just really nice to see Zach LaVine bring some excitement to the Bulls. Still show everybody like, hey, like I'm still this good. Like I know you people talk about my injuries, you people talk about my contract, but hey, I'm a 24 point per game scorer out here. Okay, so I just love that Zach LaVine's putting out this type of season to kind of show everybody what he's about. So because last year was not a great year. In the 25 games he played, he had one of his worst years since really being a Bull and since becoming a all-star type of player. So for him to kind of bounce back like this, have an efficient season, have a great shooting season, he's been very, very hot recently. It's been very nice to see. Again, I don't know if he'll actually get traded because of this, but again, it's nice to see him come out and hoop like this. Next time we're talking about is Trey Murphy III. Not many great things have happened so far with the Pelicans. They have the worst record in the West, sitting at 9-32. Things have been very bad. But one little bright spot we could talk about is Trey Murphy III. He has been playing well. He missed a lot of the early part of the year due to an offseason injury, but so far since his return, he's been very good, averaging 21 and a half points per game, 4 rebounds, 2 assists, and a steal, while shooting 45% from the field, 35% from three, 92% from the free throw line. Career high in points per game, career high in assists, career high in steals, career high in free throw percentage. He has been very, very good, particularly recently as well. He's in his last 5 games. I'm sorry, his last 7 games, he's had 30 or more in 4 of them. Like he's been very good. He's had back-to-back 30 pieces against Boston, and the last night against Chicago, even though he didn't shoot the ball well, he got to the free throw line a lot, finished with 32. He had a 35-point game against Memphis the other week, a 34-point game against Miami on New Year's. He's been having some really good games. The last 7 games, averaging 27 points per game with 5 rebounds and 4 assists on 45% shooting, 36% from three on over 10 and a half attempts. So he's been shooting the ball very, very well, especially for even though it's a career low in terms of percentage, he's shooting the most he's ever taken. He's getting to the free throw line the most he's ever shot, and he's shooting at a great rate. So he's making his free throws, passing the ball at the highest rate of his career. Defensively, he's still doing his thing, and he just looks more consistent in the offensive end. The last couple of years, I feel like every year we've seen a little bit of run from Trey Murphy. You could think like, dang, he might have another ceiling or another level that he can get to. He showed it every year. It feels like he shows a little bit of it. And now I feel like he's finally kind of reaching that next step where he's showing it on a more consistent basis, give you over 21 and a half points per game. Obviously, it's not really working as well as they would like because even though he is doing this, they're losing a lot of games. And there might be some major shakeup going on in New Orleans in the next couple weeks. And honestly, maybe seeing this Trey Murphy kind of jump maybe makes the Pelicans a little bit more okay with maybe trading some of their guys. Because again, the last couple years, I feel like Trey Murphy's always shown a little that he has a little bit more to him than just being a 3 point shooting defending wing. He has a little bit more upside to him than that. And now he finally has the capability to show it because he's playing the most minutes he's ever played. He's starting almost every game besides 2, also because Brandon Ingram is injured and he hasn't played in a very long time. Maybe with Trey Murphy playing like this, you kind of okay with letting Brandon Ingram go, letting CJ McCollum go, letting some of the young older guys go, and letting Trey Murphy have the ball in his hands a lot more. And I would love for New Orleans to let Trey Murphy be featured a lot more in the offense because we've seen the last couple games, the last couple weeks, when he does, he can have some big nights. He has some big scoring games and bring a lot of value on the court. So yeah, I love that Trey Murphy's doing this, and I hope the Pelicans continue to keep giving him the ability to do this. Next guy on the list, Jordan Poole out of Washington. I feel like this one's getting a little bit more recognized because All Star voting, he's got a lot of votes for All Star voting, a lot more than he probably should. But Jordan Poole is having a really big season. After last year, it was not ideal in Washington. He had a not great season at all, and people kind of gave up a little bit on Jordan Poole. But coming into this year, his expectations were as low as it's been in a very long time. And so far, he has really exceeded expectations and is having a great season. Give you 21 and a half points per game, 2 rebounds, almost 5 assists, 1.5 steals, shooting 43% from the field, 40% from three, 85% from the free throw line. Career highs in points per game, assists per game, steals per game, and 3 point percentage while taking the most shots he's ever taken. So he has been, the pool party is back on. He's had some big nights, some 30-point games, a 40-point game at one point early in the year, 42 against Washington. That's the game. I mean, San Antonio, that's the game where Wemby dropped 50. He's been the leader for Washington. He's been playmaking a whole lot better. Defensively, even if he's not super locked in, he's just getting a lot of steals, getting that passing lane a lot more. The 3-point shot looks a lot more consistent than last year. We know Jordan Poole's viable. He's just not. He's a tough shot taker a lot of the time, you know. And this year they're going in a lot more than they're missing than last season. So that's a really good sign. But Jordan Poole just looks a lot more comfortable. I think last year was just it was a big change for him. I mean, going from Golden State where he's a six man and he's someone that's supposed to come off the bench, relieve Steph Curry, and can play off of guys like Steph Curry and Draymond Green and Klay Thompson, and then going to Washington where basically he's the 1A and you have to do everything. You're the main ball handler. You're the starting point guard. You're the guy. Was just a big adjustment. You know, it's not for everybody. And last year we saw Jordan Poole try to make the adjustment, and it was very, very tough for him, obviously. But now, I guess after a full season of seeing what being that guy is like, he went to the offseason, worked on it, and now he looks a lot more comfortable and a lot better in this role. You know, obviously the Wizards still are not great. They still have the worst record in the league and all that stuff. But it's just nice to see Jordan Poole kind of finally be closer to the guy that Washington thought they were getting when they traded for him a year ago. So yeah, JP, you know, if you kick him while he's down, and we acknowledge when he's having a bad year, we have to acknowledge when he's having a great year. And so far, he's having a really good season, and I feel like more people should be acknowledging and respecting him for doing that. Next guy on the list, Austin Reeves, down in LA with the Lakers. Austin Reeves has been having, I think, a pretty underrated season. Even though the Lakers, obviously, you know, it's the Lakers, so a lot is always going to be going on. But I feel like one of the bright spots this year has been Austin Reeves kind of jumping. Last year we expected him to take a certain jump that he didn't really hit with the Lakers and trying to become the full time starter. He went back to the bench, became the starter again, all this stuff. But now he's being put in a different position by JJ Redick, and he is thriving. You know, give you 18 points per game, 4 rebounds, and almost 6 assists with a steal, shooting 43% from the field, 36% from three, 81% from the free throw line, career highs in points per game and assists per game. He's kind of in a very low key become the point guard of this team, even though it's always going to be LeBron James, even when it's not LeBron. It is LeBron, obviously. But there's a reason D'Lo lost his starting spot eventually got traded because Austin Reed, they trust Austin Reeves a lot more with the ball. He's been having a lot more playmaking opportunities, and he's been thriving in it. You know, ever since they kind of made the switch, looking at since he had a 5 game stretch where he missed due to an injury. Since he's come back from that, they put him in a different spot where he's now kind of the point guard ish. And looking at some of these games, I mean, he's been thriving a lot with the ball in his hands a lot more. Reeves in his last 13 games give you 20 points, 5.5 rebounds, 7.5 assists, and a steal on 42, 36, 85 shooting. He had a stretch where he went 5 of 6 games with 10 or more assists. He had a triple double, big triple double against Golden State, 26, 10, and 10. Had a 26, 6, and 16 game, 35, 9, and 10 game. Like, he has been very good, kind of being the lead, kind of being the point guard of this team, the secondary point guard of this team, where he's more was used to being like a ball handler, scorer type of guy that could play make. Now I feel like he's put in the position a lot more to be a playmaker, you know, and using his IQ to kind of get other people involved while also opening up his scoring as well. And JJ Redick has really unlocked him in that regard. This is kind of the Austin Reeves that we thought we were going to see last year. He just didn't get to play like this. But now he's playing like this. He's playing very, very good. And I feel he should get a little bit more credit. Even though the Lakers, you know, there's always a lot going on with the Lakers. He's not the first thing you're going to think of when you think about LA, but he should get a little bit more credit for, I feel like, for what he's doing this season. Next on the list is Josh Hart. Josh Hart has been incredible this year for the Knicks. I mean, there's a lot of things going really well for the Knicks, and we already know how great Josh Hart is if you're a real basketball fan, but he has just been absolutely amazing this season. So far, I'll give you 14 points, 9 rebounds, 5.5 assists, and a steal, while shooting 56% from the field, 37% from three, 81% from the free throw line. His career high in rebounds, assists, steals, field goal percentage, and free throw percentage while playing 37.5 minutes per game this year for the Knicks. He has been very, very good. I mean, ever since he's come to New York, he's been kind of a darling of the league. But I feel like he's just been different this year, where the Knicks have so much offense right now with Jalen Brunson, Anthony Towns is playing at a insanely high level, OG and Mikal having really good years. Josh Hart has kind of just been the connecting piece, and we already know he is that, but it just has been different this year, where he's been playmaking a whole lot more. He's been rebounding the ball at an insane rate. I mean, 9 rebounds per game for someone that's 6'4" is just like ridiculous. Shooting the ball super efficiently as well. 56% from the field, 37% from three is pretty good for him. Kawhi from the free throw line. So he's shooting the ball very, very well. He's rebounding very well. He's playmaking and passing very well. We already know what he does on the defensive end and what he does with the extracurriculars in terms of the hustle plays and the extra possessions and all that stuff. Like, it just feels like he's been everything that he's usually does, just on 10 this season, basically. Like, that's what I feel like Josh Hart has been. He's been so, so, so good for this Knicks team. His numbers, you look at some of his stat lines, it's insane. Like, looking at his stat lines in the last couple games, I mean, 12, 14, and 5, 11, 11, and 4, 16, 13, and 2, 21, 11, and 7, 15, 14. He had a 2, 16, and 10 game. He had a stretch where he went 2 games in a row with a double double. I mean, with a triple double, I'm sorry. 23, 15, and 10, 15, 14, and 12, 23 and 13. He had it's just insane. He's had 4 triple doubles this year. Just shows how complete, how great of a basketball player he really is, Josh Hart. And he just fits so well with this team. He's doing everything right. And I just feel like, every time, Josh Hart should get credit. Or anytime Josh Hart does something that deserves credit, give him his credit because there's not many guys around like Josh Hart in the league, and so you got to give utmost respect and credit to him, and he's having a great season. Next guy on the list is Shaden Sharp from the Portland Trailblazers. Shaden Sharp, the young guy, he had a very good rookie season, or a very inspiring rookie year. Last year, unfortunately, he was very injury riddled, and this year, the start of it was very injury riddled, but now he's back and he's playing great basketball. He was a mystery guy coming out of Kentucky, where he did not play at Kentucky, but was the number 1 player in the high school class, was the 7th overall pick in 2022. Again, had a very inspiring rookie year. Last year showed some things, but was injured. And so it's very interesting to see how is he going to look later in his career, or how is he going to look this year. What does he fit? Where does he fit in the Portland kind of future? And so far this year, I really like what I see from him. He's giving you 18 points per game with 3 rebounds and 2 assists, shooting 45% from the field, 31% from three, 79% from the free throw line. Career high in points per game right there. The efficiency hasn't been as great, but he's also taking the most shots he's ever taken. You know, but yeah, he's had 20 plus in each of the last 5 games. Last 5 games he had 28 and 8. The game against Detroit, 21 against New Orleans on really good shooting, 22 and 8 against Dallas, 22 and 5 assists against Miami, and then last night he had 21 against Brooklyn. So he's been consistently being able to score. He's had multiple 20-point games this year. Had a couple 30-point games when he first came back, and he's just been he's very good. The intrigue with Shane Sharp, kind of a very athletic wing at 6'6", that can score on almost all 3 levels. 3-point shooting has been very solid this year, even though there definitely are some times where I feel like he kind of settles for the three when he has so much athleticism. But then again, he also coming back from injuries, so maybe he just doesn't want to, go too hard on that fact. But he can shoot the 3 ball. He can get to the free throw line. He can score in the mid range a little bit. He can get to the cup. He's showing a little bit of passing in some of these games and ball handling ability. He's shown some defensive ability. So he just has kind of the makeup and has the talent to potentially be a very, very good player in the league. It's just about staying healthy and just obviously him putting it together. I mean, he's still only 21 years old, so he's still very, very young and with a lot of time to put it together. But yeah, I just feel like he's one of the better, one of the more underrated young players in the league. One of the more underrated young guys that could really pop off in the league in the next couple of years. And right now, we're currently seeing him kind of take a little bit of a step this year towards being what we think he can be. So Shaden, if he hopefully, I just really, really hope he could be able to stay healthy, because when he is healthy, again, I feel like he could be very, very good in this league and one of the faces of the Portland Trailblazers future. So hopefully he stays healthy. He can continue to keep putting up the numbers that he's been putting up this year and continue to ascend. Next guy on the list is Malik Beasley out in Detroit. The Pistons in general have just been having a really, really great season. I'm going to make a video about them eventually at some point. And one of the key pieces has been Malik Beasley. He was a pickup. I think they signed him for the minimum this year in the offseason after having a really solid year last year in Milwaukee. And he's been so good this year for Detroit. Give you 16.5 points and 3 rebounds, shooting 42% from the field, 40% from three, only 69% from the free throw line randomly. But yeah, another 40% shooting year from three while taking the most he's ever taken. He's taking over 9 attempts per game and he's shooting 40%. He's just a sniper over there. And he's been very good in Detroit. I mean, Detroit, we already knew one of the big keys for them was they just did not have spacing out there. There's literally Kate Cunningham running around being triple teamed basically because no one else in this team could shoot. And so Detroit said, you know, we're just going to bring everybody that can shoot onto the team. And Malik Beasley was one of those guys. And Malik Beasley has honestly been not even just the best pickup for Detroit, maybe one of the best off-season pickups. That's how great he's been playing. He's had so many games where he just lights it up for them. You know, he's had four of his last 6 games. He's had 20 or more points. He's had 4 more threes in 5 of his last 6 games. Multiple games of 6 threes, 7 threes, 8 threes, and then just big ones. You know, even the game against Portland where he only had 5 points, was 1 for 10. He made the biggest shot of the game. You know, he got a big steal at the end of it too. So he's been huge, not only just from shooting perspective, but also I feel like for the culture. Like he's just, oh, I feel like he's really helped this young team a lot. Like he's been around. There's been a lot of times he's just celebrating with the young guys, teaching the young guys, bringing some juice to this team with the fans, all that. Like he's just, I feel like he just genuinely really likes being in Detroit right now, and Detroit genuinely loves him right now. Like he's just been very good. He's also playing every game this year, so he's been there. He's having a great season. You know, after this year, maybe he can finally get an actual contract in the league. You know, so yeah, really nice for Malik Beasley to be able to do that, and I think he's just been phenomenal in Detroit this year. Next guy we're talking about, Julian Champagnie from San Antonio. He has been great for the Spurs. The Spurs have been one of my favorite teams to watch because they are genuinely a really good team, and obviously that Victor Wembanyama. But Julian Champagnie, I mean, last year he became a regular rotational player in the NBA. Started in 59 games last year, and was really solid. And this year he's taken another step forward. Give you 11 points per game, 4.5 rebounds and assists, while shooting 42% from the field, 36% from three, 89% from the free throw line. Career high in points, career high in rebounds, career high in free throw percentage, career high in minutes per game in 27. And he's been very good. He just has that kind of um like let it go mentality. Just that mentality of, hey, they asked me to shoot, and I'm gonna shoot. He's taking 7 threes a game this year. 7 threes. Like he's a flamethrower. Just they asked me, my role here is to shoot the three. I'm going to shoot the three. No matter who's in my face, no matter what. If I have the shot, I'm going to take it. That's what he's been this year. And it's been very big for the Spurs in that regard. He can defend pretty solid. He rebounds the ball at a pretty solid rate as well. And also, you got to respect just how, I mean, he was an undrafted player out of St. John's. Started to play a couple games in Philadelphia. Caught on to San Antonio 2 years ago, going from the two-way player to then becoming a starter last year. Started the year as a starter, but then went to a bench role, you know, because Devin Vassell came back and players came back, went to a bench role, and he's still doing his thing off the bench. So you got to give credit to him for one, being able to work his way into the league, going from undrafted to now being a certified NBA player now after this season. And no matter what role he's in, he's been able to find success from it. So you got to give a lot of respect in that regard to him. He's found a great organization in the San Antonio Spurs, found a great team to be a part of, and he's been a really big part of this team. You know, he's had so many games where he's hit a clutch three or two. Had a game where he hit 4 threes, 5 threes. You know, got a big offensive rebound in the for an extra possession. Like he's very good. His brother's also very good too on Washington. You know, he plays Washington. He's starting to get minutes. He's very good as well. But yeah, it's really nice to see him, see an undrafted player, see a guy like this try to kind of find their role in the league. And Julian Champagnie has been perfect in his role this year for San Antonio. And the last guy we're talking about here is AJ Green from the Milwaukee Bucks. AJ Green has really caught on and become a rotational player for the Bucks. The Bucks obviously had the tough start. They've slowly been working their way back up. And one guy I feel like has been kind of important in how the Bucks have found their resurged has been AJ Green. Doc Rivers throwing him in the lineup. He's a guy that caught on to Milwaukee a couple years ago after playing at Northern Iowa. And he caught on in Milwaukee a couple years ago as a two-way guy. Last year he got a little bit of a rotational run. And then this year he's become a fixture in there. I mean, his minutes have doubled from 11 to 22. He's giving you 8 points, 2 rebounds, and assists. He's shooting 45% from the field, 44% from three, 91% from the free throw line. Career highs in almost every category except free throw percentage. And he's shooting 44% from three on 5 attempts per game. This guy is a shooter. I mean, ever since he's come into the league, rookie year, he shot 42% from three. Last year, 40%. This year, 44% on almost double the amount of 3-point attempts. So he's just a flamethrower out there in the court, and just a really good shooter. A guy that's really found his role on this team. I mean, last night he hit 4 threes and played 30 minutes for Milwaukee just because, I mean, he's kind of have to. I mean, when he's shooting the ball so well, he had a game against Portland where he hit 7 threes. He's had multiple games where he's hit 3 threes, 2 threes, you know, 5 threes. Had a stretch where he hit 3 threes 4 games in a row. Like he's an amazing shooter for this team. Ever since he's gotten actual minutes, the Bucks have been a whole lot better. He competes in the defensive end, even though he's a little bit smaller for range, 6'4", 200. You know, he's probably just always going to get targeted, especially on a team with Giannis Antetokounmpo. You're going to target AJ Green, obviously, on the court. But he competes on the defensive end. You know, he makes the right passes. Not going to be a playmaker or anything. You're not going to put the ball in his hands. It has to be the point guard. But when he needs to make, the right pass, right play, he can make it. And just his spacing out there is so valuable for this Bucks team. So yeah, AJ Green, just want to give my credit to him. I feel like he should be a guy that should be in the 3-point contest this year. I feel like 3-point contest is always one guy that comes in that not the general NBA public, like the general NBA fans that are gonna watch All Star don't know who AJ Green is, you know. But he could come in and he could win the 3-point contest. Like I just feel like kind of like Joe Harris a couple years ago, where no one really the NBA popular the like public didn't know who Joe Harris was. In Brooklyn, they came out with a 3-point contest and all that stuff. I feel like I don't know. I feel like that would just be cool. I can see him being in the 3-point contest, being like, who the heck is this dude? It comes out, wins a 3-point contest. I don't know. But every time I watch Milwaukee, I lock on AJ Green. I'm like, dang, he's really good. It's good for him that he's come from a small school. I mean, Northern Iowa. I mean, who comes from Northern Iowa? You know what I mean? And he comes out and he finds a role in the NBA. So I just want to give credit to him. Yeah, it's gonna be it for today. I hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know down in the comments below some other players that you think have a really underrated season that I feel like people should be talking about a lot more, because there's obviously so many more players I could be talking about, but these are just a couple ones I picked. And yeah, once again, if you enjoyed the content around here, consider subscribing, liking, turn notifications, do all stuff like that. I'd really appreciate it a lot. And yeah, I'll see you guys tomorrow.